Hi, we're taking a trip today to Big Cypress National Preserve. Jesse's a little grumpy. He hasn't finished any caffeine yet this morning.
Okay. I don't like vlogging. I've said that multiple times. And so...
I'm getting more excited about vlogging, and I'm liking it more and more and more, which makes you like it less and less and less.
That is true. That is how that works. Yeah, we have to balance each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
I also...
I'm the skinny one, he's the heavier one. I'm the positive one, he's the negative.
Part of it is just the nature of, like, turning on. Being on for the camera, talking. For me, I know too much, almost, about cinematography, about storytelling. I have a way I want to do it, and nothing that we're doing here fits exactly how I would tell the story. Like, this shot...
It's a mess! It's fun!
This shot, I'd have B-roll of the Kia behind us. I would have dramatic push to the side. I would have another camera angle from like the roof shooting down. I'd have like a drone flying in the air. But you can't, right? And so this vlog is going to be two things. First, the title of the vlog.
5 things we hate about board games?
5 things we hate about board games. It is a little clickbaity, but trust me, that's one part of our strategy. 2, that is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to take you to Big Cypress National Preserve here in Florida. We're working on telling self-contained stories, and on that journey, as we show you wildlife and explore the world, we're still going to talk about the hobby that you all are here for and the hobby that you all love. And we're going to talk about why
we hate board games.
Why we hate it. Okay, well, seems like a good premise. These are going to be ideas and concepts and elements of our hobby that we don't really like that much. So, let's have a conversation.
We still love our hobby.
Oh, do we?
I do.
Oh.
He just plays games for the heck of it.
Let's
Shall we get on the roof?
Let's have a conversation about board games, about this space, and also explore a pretty remarkable wildlife preserve here in the Florida
area.
Yeah. So, with that, oh yeah, the second part of the video, I already kind of went over it. That's why she's ready to go. We're learning how to tell stories. It's part of the struggle and pleasure of this type of work. You want to see if the car starts while I keep talking to the camera?
Sure.
We're learning how to tell stories, and so that's going to be part of this vlog's narrative as well. What does it look like as we try to tell one self-contained story instead of like a larger week-long picture? And since the car started, I suppose it is time for us to go ahead and hit the road. We appreciate you. We are excited to have you on this journey with us, even if we are a royal mess.
Do you want to grab the drinks that are on the roof of the car?
I suppose I should grab the drink that's on the roof of the car. And yes, all of you saying that I should not be drinking Red Bull.
We will have a video on that shortly.
We hear you.
One of the topics we're going to talk about.
We hear you. Big mosquito just flew away, but I got it. Don't worry. You're gonna show footage right now.
But you have so many on your back.
There really are so many. We just got into the park. We're doing this whole like learn how to vlog thing, which starts with paying attention to the camera that you're filming with.
I saw that.
And making sure that it's not slowly drooping down as we record. We just had our strategy session. We
took a quick tour of the boardwalk, during which we got attacked.
So
numerous times.
Yeah, so
there's crocodiles here, but we got attacked by the most evil thing here. Mosquitoes. I doused myself in DEET.
That's true. She did. She used more DEET than recommended by the Surgeon General.
It's a very powerful stench, and it's still not being effective. I got bit on my cheek, and then through my leggings.
And
leggings are supposed to be protective.
We just had a strategy session. The way we're approaching this, and we'll go into detail on lessons we're learning along the way, trying to figure out how to vlog and trying to figure out how to communicate, because we both fell apart a bit on the way here.
You fell apart so bad.
Worse than her. Vlogging, it stresses me out. Like, I want to control things and tell a story, and it's hard as we're trying to figure out how to do that as someone who has a lot of experience in ways that I like doing things, and someone that is new and trying to learn, and both of us trying to manage kind of our friendship alongside doing the vlog stuff. It's a very complicated process, but we're not going to bore you with that constantly, like as the narrative of every video we do.
Just every other.
Instead, I thought I'd pull out the camera and say, we just had our strategy meeting. One of the ways we're approaching these travel things is, and be careful with that mic, because if you have it bumped up against things, it will get the sound of the thing you're bumping it up against.
But then I shake. See, I don't have as steady hands as you.
I hear, luckily the camera has a stabilizer in it, which helps moderate your shake just a bit. Either way, one of... I love how you're angling it towards you, too. You're like, I need to look really good. I'll frame Jesse to the side. One of the things we're working on figuring out here, and one of the things that we're approaching is, when we arrive to a location, I don't like having the camera on hand filming all the time.
Right.
So we're practicing going out and experiencing the area, and then getting the camera and being purposeful with what we have. Like, we saw alligator.
You got scared by one.
Oh,
you didn't notice it.
Which you didn't get to see.
You poked your head over,
okay.
and it was just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful boardwalk, lots of mosquitoes. So we came back, had a strategy meeting with how we want to approach this video.
Did a lot of scratchy, scratch.
And now I'm refusing to leave the car.
Yeah.
So, you know, the next shots you see on the boardwalk, this is the second time we've been out there.
And have required a lot of sacrifice on our part.
And we are re-engaging with the mosquitoes on your behalf.
Are you making me go first? Because I'm the bigger person. Yes?
Oh, there's a door out there.
There is a door out there. Uh-oh. I exited. Success.
That didn't work very well. Why are you missing this? There's legitimately so many bugs. They're all over you too.
Wonderful.
Okay, do you see them all?
But I'm Dita.
Do you see them?
I do.
Oh my gosh, they're on my legs. Okay, so this is cool because this is the National Florida Scenic Trail.
Oh, there's one in front of the camera lens.
This is the southernmost part. Are you still filming?
I am.
This is the southernmost part of the Florida Trail, which I believe some people hike. You have to point it at me for the audio to follow along.
Oh, but I was looking at all the bugs.
I know, but you shouldn't be distracted by things
Bugs?
like that. You should be filming. Some people, I believe, hike this and then connect it back up to the Appalachian Trail in Georgia and continue the journey forward. That being said, I don't know why we walked down here. Can we go back this way?
You said, let's go see that sign.
I got a beautiful shot of a beautiful butterfly mosquito. Quit.
Are you a grumpy pug?
I legitimately.
Gonna flip the screen?
Oh, I don't understand. I don't understand. I can't sit down. This is just not possible. Okay, one got it for my eye. So, we promised you we would do a video on 5 things we don't like in the board game industry. 5 things that make us, we use the word hate the board game industry. Mosquitoes, if they were part of the board game experience, would undoubtedly be one of them, but that's not where this list starts. Instead, we're gonna set up. So I generated my list. You have your list. We're gonna do one together here, and then we are not staying here for the entire list. So you're gonna have to watch the whole vlog to get the rest of it. But I did my list around concepts or principles that if I find them in a game, I don't like them at all. That is not helping.
Nope.
Audio, no, you can't dance.
Oh, but there's mosquitoes.
I know. Can you go
Okay.
ahead and give your one of yours, and then we can move on?
All right.
Oh my gosh.
One of the things that I don't like
I
is the board.
promised this vlog would be a mess from the very beginning. I promised.
I don't
it.
like catch-up mechanics.
Explain.
I don't like when the game makes things for the people who play so poorly. I don't like it when the game implements ideas and ways for them to catch up. If they play poorly in the beginning, they need to be better player.
That's reasonable.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
Yours?
I think I had one. Why don't you like those mechanics? Because I had one on my list that was phrased similarly. Okay, there we are.
I think people should play well from the beginning and be able to catch up on their own, not need the game to make it easier.
You don't want the game to hold
them.
their hand. You don't want them to get an otter, like just to keep them in the game as the game goes
Correct.
on. Okay, one of mine is I don't like when asymmetric games with asymmetric player powers, specifically have limiting functions because one of the factions was overpowered or unbalanced, and so they've made arbitrary sort of restrictions to keep you from running away with the game. For me, I want the design to be cohesive. I want it to give me permission to play with the powers and abilities I've been given, and
I'm getting a bit too much.
I get very frustrated when a game starts restricting that, when it starts removing that agency from the player. If I feel like I should be able to do something, like I should be able to use a power to move twice and then attack someone, if the game has placed holds on me, and throughout the course of the gameplay experience, I continually have to pause, check the rulebook, or be told by the other players I'm not allowed to do that, it's just not as much fun. And with that, I just felt one bite my back. That was a massive... So, since we're already leaving, but I promised that I'd give you a little bit of... Come on, truck! Since we're already heading out, because the mosquitoes are so terrible, but I promised I'd give you a little bit of an insight into Big Cypress, I'll do so as we walk backwards on the boardwalk here. So Big Cypress is going to be part of the national preserves down here in Florida. It is adjacent to the Everglades. It is actually made up of a lot of different elements, different habitats. There's, I think, 5 distinct habitats that are here, including swamplands, cypress forests, some hardwood forests, or like pine or evergreen forests, and also some Native American habitats and preserve lands. Perfect. Perfect. I'm going to run everything into the wood, apparently. So this location that we're at right now is the Oasis Visitor Center with a nice boardwalk, terrible mosquitoes, and the opportunity for us to see kind of up close and personal some of the animals. The area is also filled with hiking trails, filled with camping opportunities. Now the hiking trails are submerged because there's 2 distinct seasons down here in the Everglades. There's the wet season and the dry season. The wet season is going to be where something like 5 or 6 feet of rainwater start flooding the basin, making its way out of the lakes that are up in the northern part of Florida, across the land, creating big swaths of swampland, and filling up and finally kind of dumping into the Everglades and the ocean. This location here is the biology and ecosystem and habitats that are designed and built around that constant churn of wet and dry seasons where the water fills and recedes, and the hiking trails are affected by that. You're going to have hiking trails that are filled up with water. You're going to have hiking trails that are filled up with water part of the year and then empty the other part. So that's my walkthrough. That's my walkthrough of Everglades. Now, the nice thing about this area is going to be the fact that there's also the opportunity for what they call car trails. Roads, both paved and unpaved, that allow you to get a view of the landscape without, apparently, getting devoured by the bugs, which we've already accomplished. So we're going to be very itchy and driving around. Yeah.
I'm so itchy.
Follow up on the fact that we just got back into the car. I hope you're entertained by that, because you just double-checked my back and your legs, specifically your legs.
I checked my legs first, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 bites on one leg.
Now, we're not putting her legs on camera, but these are welts. These are not bites. These are like a mosquito married its cousin and then decided to like invest in real estate down here.
Yeah.
I met you on a sunny day. Right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough.
Hopefully that was entertaining. Before we continue with our list, let me do my best to reset the stage for what this is. Do we hate the board game industry?
No.
We don't hate the board game industry or board games or the community or anything of that nature. Instead, these are things that cause us to hate the hobby that we love, to not want to play a game again, not want to join a gaming group, not want to go out and purchase something. Now, not all of these, this is not a cohesive list. There are plenty of reasons to not like different elements of the hobby. These are our personal opinions, and because there's slightly less mosquitoes out here on this trail, we're going to go ahead and a few horseflies, some grasshoppers, and a really pretty bird. We're going to go ahead and reset up or give you the next stage of our list. So our first ones had to deal with, specifically for you, catch-up mechanics. And for me, the idea, especially in asymmetric games, of forced player balance. If I have to continue going to the rulebook after I already know the game, or by the time I'm in the middle of a game, and the person that taught me, like...
Hi, car.
There's a car coming. Hi, truck.
Hi, truck.
If I have to continue to go to the rulebook, or specifically the person that taught me the game continues to go to the rulebook during the course of play and tells me, you can't actually do that. Oh, the way you were going to win right there, you're not actually able to do. Yes, I know it feels like you should be able to roll all of your dice, but the rulebook says that you specifically has a maximum of 3 of the red dice to roll. And yeah, we get 4 or 5, but you would be overpowered if you had that. I cannot stand a game arbitrarily limiting me if it feels like during the course of play I should be able to do this. Now, it's not necessarily a fair complaint, but it does ruin my experience. You're number 2.
My number 2, or should I elaborate on my...
You can if you'd like, considering it was a bit chaotic. I'll leave way to you.
So my number 1 was catch-up mechanics, where a game where a player is doing really well, and like most of the players are actually doing really well, and there's like 1 or 2 stragglers behind. The game gives those stragglers ways to catch up and sometimes even become overpowered and win. And I really don't like that. I like if the players have played consistently well, they should be able to maintain their steady lead, and players who did really bad because, let's say, it's their own fault, they're just a poor player, they should have to suffer. Stay behind. Jesse, do you want to come back on camera for your number 2?
Sorry, I was filming B-roll of her talking to the camera. So our number 2. Well, I thought you were going to go ahead and lead directly into yours.
Okay. My number 2. So my number 2 is I don't like games that punish you for having fun. There are some times where you want to do this amazing, powerful move that sometimes almost feels broken.
Sure.
And then the game just is like, no, we're going to make, because you're getting too powerful, too strong, we're going to take away some of that power and kind of punish you and give you, like, decrease the amount of powers and abilities that you have going on. And it makes it just not fun.
Yeah.
It feels very punishing sometimes.
You're talking about games that specifically kind of cascading failure.
Yes, that's the words I couldn't...
Games that begin pulling down the structure that made the game fun when you started out with. You like the opposite approach.
I like the games that grow and amp up and become just more and more powerful. Like
on both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
On both sides. For me, my number 2 is going to be cooperative games. Now, not all cooperative games. In fact, we're playing through a few that we find absolutely adorable and charming. My issue has to do with cooperative games that have a correct way to play. And I mean legitimately, like strategically. Like if you've played it 5 times, you know that's just the way you're supposed to do it.
It's scripted.
It's scripted to a degree. If you want to win, if you want to have the experience of making it to the victory without everything falling apart, and that leads to the biggest problem with cooperative games, which isn't exactly what I'm complaining about, which would be one person kind of controlling all players at the table. That does happen. That is a problem.
That would be on my list.
For myself, it has less to do with that player and more to do with the game that's designed in a way that has really one correct pathway. That during stages of the game, you have options A, B, and C, but really, if you've played a few times, only A is the reasonable route to take. I want things to be balanced or broken, but in a way that incentivizes both forms of exploration. Now, some might point to my favorite game of all time, Kingdom Death, which would be a fair comparison. You do want to get bandages by a certain stage. You do want to invest in full sets of armor, and I've played enough that I know that's the pathway to take. But if I'm playing with a new player, like we're going to do soon,
Eventually.
my favorite way to approach it is to give a bit of that knowledge and a bit of that advice. But if they say they just really want to make a lion mane helm or invest in a bow and arrow set before you really need it for ranged characters, then do it. Invest in it, right? Because everything is worthwhile and can be fun. Not all games are like that, and that's going to be my number 2. So we keep trying to capture all of these shifting environments. There's actually 5 main habitats here at, what's this place called? I have it right here. The Big Cypress Preserve. The 5 main habitats are going to be, you want to read them out instead of showing them the hidden map?
Hardwood hammocks.
Hardwood hammocks. These are going to be big billowing branches. I think they're primarily the palms and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think they're like
that
right
we're kind of seeing on the side of the road as we drive up here. We also have
Pinelands.
Pinelands are going to be giant, big old, tall pine trees. There's a few of them interspersed here too, but this isn't quite a forest area of it.
Then we have prairies.
Prairies is going to be what we have behind us. These are going to be marshy grasslands where you actually have almost a giant lake or river that is flooding and then flowing down.
Were you trying to say flooding and flowing at the same time?
The entire area here at Big Cypress is something like over 1 million acres of preserved land, and we're only on a small part of that. And this is what some of that land is, and it actually creates the habitat or ecosystem here in South Florida.
Can I read flavor text?
You can if you'd like.
Unlike the vast sea of grass that makes up the Everglades, Big Cypress has 5 primary habitats. Seen from above, they form a mosaic. A habitat has distinctive soil, plants, and animals based on its elevation and how long surface water stays on it. Water links these habitats as it flows towards the Gulf of Mexico.
Nice. And what are the other 2 that we have?
Cypress swamps.
So Cypress swamps is going to be one of the areas that we're looking to still see. I think we were in it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
It's going to be these big root-like billows coming out of the ground with big cypress trees and like networks of roots that look like they're twisting into this muddy swampland.
And then estuaries.
Estuaries are going to be on the periphery.
I don't know what that is.
They're where the big moo cow water buffalo things are. What are the big? They're not platypuses.
Speak English? There's something that says animals in here?
They're very nice. They're like the most friendly little dog-like water creatures, but you can go kayaking with them. Estuaries is going to be where the saltwater and freshwater flow and run together. It creates its own ecosystem and habitat as well. So that is part of what we're capturing here. I don't know what Shira is trying to do behind me. The other element that I wanted to talk about here is just going to be the nature of producing content in itself. So that's part of the story here as we're figuring it out. We've taken some time to like watch and observe and spend some time like getting to know the environment. We're doing some research, reading signs, digging into the pamphlet that we have so we can share some knowledge with you. And then on top of that, we're trying to park and stop in different environments along the way so we can kind of tell the story of the day and also tell the narrative of the place that we're at, the areas that we're visiting, and the experience that we're having. I kept kind of spin to find you, and you're just off exploring a hole. So that is going to be sort of what's happening here. I've probably already cut the vlog by this point, but I'm still figuring out endings. So Shira, anything you're learning along the way when it comes to actual filmmaking and what we're doing?
Finding really cool spots and like little nooks, and then being able to pan in and bring focus back out. I was asking you to get some footage of like some things I thought looked really pretty.
The thing we need to do that I'm not the best at so far is I like the macro shots, but we also need to do a combination of large establishing shots and macro photography to tell the whole picture and experience. Part of what we want to do is translate everything out here so that you, the audience, can understand, and it's as if you were here with us.
And here we are about to see some rare footage of Betsy off-roading it.
Sure, say hi.
3 reason about why I might not like the board gaming industry so much. And as hair flies into my mouth and distracts me. So
Mine too.
You have no hair anymore. So, my number 3 reason is king making. I really don't like it when a game enables king making to happen a lot. When it gives the other players a choice to have to king make and choose who they want to win. And inevitably it comes down to friends, couples. That's usually what happens. Or someone who they really don't like winning, so you inevitably just switch the focus to someone you really want.
And it's not just the nature of someone king making in general. That is terrible, but we've played some games that set up the game in a way that makes it so by the end of it, someone's king making.
Yeah,
Every
it's a
experience
team.
we've had, someone is deciding who the winner is going to be.
And these aren't cooperative games. These are competitive games where you really should be in it for yourself and trying to enable yourself to win, and then you have to switch your focus.
Yeah, you have to work together, and by the end of the game, you're not eligible for the prize, but you are almost always, or someone is almost always eligible to decide who gets the prize. For me, it's going to be early player elimination in games.
You experience this so much, so because you just like getting eliminated right in the beginning.
Okay, there are some fantastic games out there that one of the biggest hits I have against them, one of the things I can't stomach is if players in a 2 or 3 hour game can be out of it by that point. And it's even worse if they can be out of the game and know they're out of the game, and yet they still have to continue playing for the 2 or 3 hours. Either way,
I think that's even worse. Like if you know that you have no chance at winning, but because
it's almost like they should have some catch-up mechanics.
No, never.
Either way, for me,
I just don't feel like catch-up mechanics are actually effective. When they happen, I don't feel that the player actually ever catches up.
For me, it's a game that does one of 2 things. If you can be eliminated from the game entirely, I mean you're not playing anymore, and the game ranges anywhere from an hour to 2 or 3 hours, and you could be out of it within the first 30 to 45 minutes, that sucks. I love player elimination. When you're playing something that is lightweight, that you can pick up and play again, enough time to go grab a drink and come back and sit down. But if you're the only person that got knocked out of the game, or you have a friend that's like waiting on the sideline while everyone else finishes, what's the point? Why have that system? Why make that a possibility? It just ruins the experience for at least the person that got kicked out. And if I'm the host, I feel like crap watching him sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Now, the other version of that is if you know you're out
Yeah.
of the game and you still have to keep playing.
I've seen you set up your next 8 turns in a game. You know you have no chance at winning, so therefore you say, this is what I'm going to do for my next 8 turns.
I know what I'm doing.
While the people around you continue playing.
The people who are competing for victory condition. It's one of the biggest hits I have against Catan and Monopoly. Those games can be a lot of fun. Monopoly specifically is a lot of fun for one player, the player who's eliminating everyone.
Yes.
Catan usually ends up being a fantastic game for 2 people who are battling for victory, but the other 3, to facilitate them having fun, are functioning and running the game without ever really competing for the victory.
Yeah.
I want it to be up to the final line, or have victory points that make it abstract enough that whatever pathway you went down could have been the correct one.
I want to feel, if I am losing a game, I want to feel I had a chance to win it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I want to feel like it was a fair fight, and if the victory gets snatched from me at the very end, okay, but I put up a fair fight.
I just can't stand that. So we've taken too long setting up this shot, getting B-roll, letting a car pass by. Our number 4, I know the mosquitoes start becoming attracted to you as time goes on. We were much calmer a few seconds ago. Our number 4, my number 4, is going to be a little bit more controversial, maybe for some of you who are mechanics first players, because I'm a theme and flavor text first gamer. And so my number 4, something that will make me hate a game, that'll take me out of the experience of it, is going to be when the mechanics and theme don't align. This is a stumbling block for me. If I'm playing a game that is immersive, that is in-depth, that is thematic, and then suddenly what we're doing in the game doesn't seem to match up with the story that the game's trying to tell me, it just takes me out of it. I don't have a specific example right now, but I know it's something that I've ran into time and time again.
I've run into it with you as well.
Oftentimes it leans into sort of the critique that you have where one of your earlier ones that talks about a game not incentivizing you having fun. This is the same concept for me. I want to experience and dig into the story of the game, and if the game disincentivizes me from doing that, it becomes a real sticking point for my experience. Your number 4.
My number 4 is horrible, horrendous rulebooks.
Okay.
Rulebooks that have no overarching organization, rulebooks that don't provide examples about what this player is doing here, just really shitty rulebooks. And I've come across quite a decent, and I'm not knocking prototypes who are still developing their rulebooks.
Sure.
I'm knocking games and really far established games that have horrible rulebooks. In conjunction with that, I am dinging the games that don't provide a player aid.
There we go.
The player aids that, for a game that is so complex and there's so much symbolism involved, it really needs a player aid to enhance it. And yes, a lot of people in the community do group together and create player aids, and we'll put them up on BGG, and that's wonderful. But the creators, the designers, the producers should know their game enough to know that a player aid would really help the players.
I understand why bad rulebooks happen. I don't understand why they continue to happen.
And I'm not even talking about when they're being translated from language to language. I give them an allowance for that. If English is not your first language.
Where images, reference, general structure, player aids with your symbology, a thesaurus with all of the extra words and terms. Thesaurus is not the right word. Index would be what I'm looking for. Either way, there are way too many mosquitoes. So, can we please get out of here?
Yes.
Hi, Betsy.
So my number 5 is really awful storage solutions for big box games.
You're just going straight for it.
I am going straight for it.
What are these things? I just flicked a mosquito. It had so much blood in it.
That was all your blood.
Oh my god.
So, can I get back on track with my number 5?
No, I am terrified of that thing.
Okay.
Wow, so it had like this clear belly with just a bulbous sack of my flesh.
Yes, okay. Number 5 is really bad storage solutions. So when a box comes and it has so many plastic inserts that just take up the entire box, but the actual game components take up like 1/8 of the box, I hate that because you're making room on your shelves for this massive box when you can condense it all. And I get it, some people like to protect their minis, but if you have really decent minis, they should be able to be stored in a better way.
Yeah, it makes it harder and harder to justify keeping that game in your collection. And if the game isn't good, it's not like the best game you've ever played. I'm talking a 5 out of 5. You just grow to hate it. You grow to resent the space it's taking.
The opposite is when it's a game that comes with 20 expansions and provides you a mediocre box. So then your shelves are filled with 10 boxes for the exact same game because they can't all fit into one box.
Bad storage solutions either way.
You should not have to buy a massive box for a smaller game, and you should be able to buy a big box for a game that has a lot of expansions and you want to incorporate all into one thing.
I have a game I love that I bought the big box for. The issue is even the big box wasn't designed to fit all of the expansions that comes with it. So I still have some of the expansions I haven't punched. The last thing for me, number 5 for me, a thing that will make me resent a game and grow to slowly hate our industry or our board game space. I know I was doing it before you. I mean, I'm glad we've set the narrative that I am distractible.
Yes.
And you're a professional.
And I'm just bait.
So
the mosquitoes like me.
Number 5 for me is going to be dice rolling.
Without mitigation.
Yeah, without specifically mitigation. Don't worry. Some of my favorite games have dice rolling.
I love dice tracking.
I absolutely love rolling some crazy dice and getting those highs and lows. But the experience is fun when I know I'm taking the risk.
Yes.
When I know I could control the outcome or press my luck a bit or change a dice roll if it's just working against me. And still, at times, I fail. And still, at times, I love to fail or succeed or have stand-up moments, but when the game doesn't give me any control of that.
When you feel you've had enough intervention and are able to do enough, then even the failures feel okay and satisfying.
I want
even
the
wins feel
failures
satisfying.
to feel like I failed in the most epic fashion ever.
Yeah.
Like, I had a game on camera, some of you will remember, where I rolled, I think it was 5 D1s, or crit 1s on a D20 in a row.
Wow.
I deserved to lose that game.
Yes.
And trust me, that sucked, but I also respected the heck out of what was happening. But if the game doesn't have any mitigation when it comes to the dice and the randomness, and I'm not just saying dice here, I'm saying card play, control, any degree of randomness that I don't get a bit of say over, and I can't decide when and how I press my luck, that will make me grow to hate the game. So, after these list of 5s, do we hate the industry?
No,
Like, are we...
I love it still. I love games. I love to play them. I like to talk about them. I like to take them all over the world with us. I love the industry. And all the things that we've listed are knocks against the industry, but not enough to pull us away.
Against some games,
Yeah.
against some elements,
But then
against
there's
some
some
things that
really
can go wrong.
awesome
Here's the thing,
games.
if you're watching this, you probably have your own list. This is all stuff that we've discovered by playing games that we didn't end up liking. And if you're a fan of this channel, you should know what our preferences are. Maybe you love dice rolling without mitigation. Maybe player elimination is your jam, and knocking out your friend halfway through a campaign kind of is what the friend group's there to do. Maybe party games are where you all shine. This is just our version of a list of things that we've learned make the games, well, not right for us. With that being said, Big Cypress has been
An
pretty...
experience.
I mean, outside of the mosquitoes, this has been a remarkable day.
Yeah.
It's been an adventure. We've seen so many cool pieces of wildlife. There's so much more to explore here, from kayaking to hiking, and I want to come back to the environment. But I'm going to look up when the mosquitoes die.
Oh, and I'm going to look up how to kill them and what to prevent them, because D is just not working.
I mean, I hope this has been an entertaining video for you all. I cannot imagine when the Pilgrims or the Native Americans first crossed.
I mean, my
like, these
genetic
marshy
line, whoever
lands.
passed along this intolerance for mosquitoes should have been eliminated. These are genes not to pass along.
Yeah. Either way, hopefully you're enjoying watching this video. I'm sure there's still some more things going on, but this is going to end the board game specific section of the conversation. And from here on out, wow, that was almost a good ending.
For here, I'm out.
From here on out, we're just going to be going somewhere. We'll see you.
So, I actually don't know where to start this, but I kind of wanted to talk to you all about content creation and sort of my take on it. This is the first experience that we've kind of been trying to make a vlog about. We went out this morning with the intent of having a day experience and consolidating that into a vlog. And this is our first time doing it, and we're kind of figuring out how to transition more to this than doing week-long vlog experiences. And one of the things that I've been struggling with is, so Jesse's a really solid photographer, videographer, storyteller. He's been in this industry for a while now, and I think he was telling me he's been here for about 9 years. I don't have that experience, and I don't have that background. And right now I'm really struggling with kind of figuring out how to insert myself more into the story, what stories I want to tell, how to jump in and take over the narrative a little bit and shift it to what I want to show. And he has such a strong on-screen presence. And sometimes I'm more shy. I'm more not assertive. I was going with, what's the word? When I'm more introverted. Jesse's more extroverted. And while those kind of make a really good meetup and like mix where we bounce off of each other from time to time, it's also hard always being with an extroverted person. I like introspection, I like the pauses, I like just gazing around and absorbing and not always necessarily talking about it, but that doesn't always look great on camera. So I think I lost my track there a little bit, but I'm trying to become more confident and become more outspoken and share my stories and what I want to say. But besides for that, I'm learning how to line up these cool shots. I'm learning to point out and say, I want you to capture this scene. I want you to get that shot. Look at the cool clouds. Look at the trees. Look at the grass. I'm learning how to point out what I think looks really great on camera. And while I don't yet have the camera skills, Jesse's providing those for me. So there's some challenging aspects, there's some really rewarding aspects. Seeing a gator up close and just looking eye to eye to it and Jesse's in the background capturing it. That was really cool. Seeing, there's so much beauty here. As we drive past these really great areas, I'm like, oh look, stop! And then I'll screech to a halt. Jesse's stuff will go flying in the back seat, but I found a really cool, pretty picture. And I'm all about the beauty in nature. I love it out here, despite being eaten alive. So, yeah, that's sort of my initial take right now. Then again, this is our first time doing this. We hope there will be a lot more, and we're working towards that. Let us know down below what we can do better at, what we're really great at, and what we're horrible at.
So, I've said multiple times that I don't like vlogging. And this feels like an appropriate episode to dive into what I mean by that. Because we're 5 vlogs in, we're trying to vlog and tell stories and somehow communicate these adventures and what we're doing with our lives here on camera to the audience. But I don't actually like vlogging. I don't like the way it makes me feel like I have to take the camera out constantly. Like I have to get shots and B-roll of every single thing. I know how to tell stories. I know all the little intricacies of telling them, from filming the eyes of the crocodile to the giant pond it's swathing in to the fish hooks that are going out that are making it become distracted. I understand every little element and shot that I technically should have, that I want to get, that I want to spend the next hour and a half getting, but after that hour and a half has passed, the friends and family that I came with are bored or have felt like they've been intruded on as we've filmed everything. The crocodile, I have 60 golden seconds of immaculate footage, and that's about all I have to say for myself. And it's been an hour and a half, and I've focused more on work and the time invested in getting those shots than I have actually just stopping and appreciating and experiencing what was there in front of me. So I don't like vlogging. I don't actually like doing any camera work as a hobby or as anything other than a career. So why am I vlogging? In this episode where we've decided to take an excursion, where we're taking the time to produce content on board games and be out here in a natural park, well, I want to vlog. I want to tell stories. I want to be able to travel and share moments and communicate with people and do so in a real way. I want to be able to find and connect with an audience and individuals who, honestly, benefit from having someone to connect with. Because when I was younger, as I've grown up, this has been where I have found myself. It's been where I've developed my personality, my identity, found my friend group, invested in the communities around me. It's been how I've discovered and experienced the world, and that is becoming more and more real. And so I want to be able to share that with a group of people. From this incredible scene we're standing at, to the experiences we're having, to our relationship and my love of board games and nature and hobby. Quackalope is a channel designed around one of my interests, but this is another one. Camera work and cinematography and travel and just being outdoors, or going on adventures or telling stories. At the end of the day, I'm a storyteller. It's what I love to do. So I don't like vlogging. I don't like the way it makes me feel, but I want to do it. That's this big conflict that's brewing inside of me, the struggle of finding someone who's willing to work through it with me, to be patient and understand that I'm having a hard time processing exactly what it is I want out of this type of experience. Who's willing to spend the extra 10 minutes getting bit by mosquitoes that it takes for us to get the shot that we need, or have the conversation that we have to have with the audience. I mean, I am incredibly grateful that Shira is here and learning and passionate and excited about this type of project. It's mind-blowing that I found someone that's willing to do that, because I would never be doing this if I was traveling on my own. But in most situations, I also would never be doing this if I was traveling with someone, because I don't want this to be the thing that takes away from that. It is this great conflict. So what are the ways that I've approached filmmaking so far to try to wrap my head around content creation, around this type of media? Well, we're trying to identify stories that we want to tell. Like this trip, we identified I wanted to talk about our first experience creating a single set piece of content. Our trip to Big Cypress. That was one of the projects, and hopefully we've done that decently well with the footage and the B-roll and the stories. But this is also a board game channel. I wanted to make sure that we had a conversation about board games as well. So the clickbait title, 5 Things We Hate About Board Games, or 5 Things We Hate About the Board Game Industry. Of course, that set the narrative. That's the framework for what we're doing. So we have our stories. We know what we're filming towards. We're not just covering and filming everything that happens in our lives, because I don't want to film. I don't want a camera in my hand every day of the week. It's one of those trade-offs. It's one of those conflicts. So that's part of it. And then the other part of it is when we get in and we start working to tell our stories, we try to narrow down and make sure that we take the time and the space that we need to have fun and take a moment to experience the environment, and then another moment to come back and film it. Now, will we miss things? Absolutely. There'll be more cases, more often than not, where we're talking to you about something that we encountered, like me being scared by a crocodile today. I was walking by the railing, stumbled over, looked down, and big old Daddy Croc was sitting right there, or alligator, or whatever it is. And I jumped back and shout to Shira, and, it was a good moment. And if I'd have a camera in my hands, you would have seen it lurch. If she had one in her hands or strapped to her chest, you would have seen her turn and me experience that. And it would have been there to share, but the fact that we would have been recording it would have taken away from what we were looking to do. So we're setting up stories, establishing the narratives that we want to tell, and then we're taking the time that we need to understand the environment we're in, to experience it ourselves first, and then figure out how to translate and bring that here onto the camera. So that's about the sum of it. We're still working on it. We're still an absolute mess, but we're enjoying the process, and hopefully you all are enjoying these vlogs. If you are, let us know in the comment section down below. Let us know what you'd like to see, where you'd like to see us go, and what parts or elements of these you're enjoying or not enjoying. If you've made it to this part, which is the very end of the video, I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being a part of this community and supporting us as we explore new content. I don't know that I've seen a lot of people in our space attempt to do this type of weird. We have our own collection of it, but Shira and I are, some other mix. So, with that being said, we're going to hit the road again. We're going to head out of Big Cypress, enjoy the rest of the evening and day here. We're probably going to grab dinner on the way back home, and then sit down and spend 5 or 6 hours working on this project. Oh, and if you did make it to this part, which is in fact the very end, give Shira some kudos in the comments down below. I think, because we're filming this a little bit earlier than Friday night before Shabbat, she's actually going to be the person that's sitting down, processing through, and of course, with my help a little bit, as she gets her feet under her, she's going to start taking over the editing and production on these vlogs. I'm going to be the cameraman, which is what I like and enjoy doing, and she's going to help craft and tell the story in some sort of visual, pleasing hybrid of a way. So, let her know you appreciate what she's doing. With that being said, whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Don't let the things you hate about the industry you love keep you from continuing to love it. And with that, see you next time.
Let's find something to climb.
I see that. I do see that.